right, so this is moving forward, budget management in a virtual environment facilitated by the Center for Student Involvement Finance Team. In this training, there are a multitude of things that we will talk about. We base this training off of our most frequently asked questions. Most of them are listed here. So we'll discuss who is the Center for Student Involvement, what is different about finances this year for those of you that dealt with us last year, how CSI Finance supports your organization, accessing campus labs Engage, navigating Engage, and then requesting funding. So if you're a UCC or a graduate organization and you need to request funds, how do you do so? And then last but not least, submitting a purchase request. So let's talk about CSI and our office structure. This slide kind of gives you some detail into who we are as a team and how we support your organizations. We do so in various ways. We provide procedures and guidelines and then also advising and support. And then we have 5 specialty areas of finances, organization advising, recognition, programming, and then relationship building. We have 6 areas that we oversee, being student government, our club council, the student media, our programming boards, which include organizations like SUB and KPU. And we also have fraternity and sorority life. And last but not least, our graduate council, our graduate leadership council and graduate school councils. If you have more questions or you need more details about the structure of our office, feel free to reach out to my team at using our email information. I'll provide you with our contact information at a later moment in this presentation. So moving forward, who is the CSI Finance Team? We are a team of 3 wonderful amigos. One position is vacant, being the CSI Financial Assistant. So look forward to some outreach going out for that position. It will go live in the next couple of days. So if you know any graduate students that are interested in working for us, send them our way. But for now, there's me, Ebony Smith, Financial Administrator. My email is listed there. My cohort of responsibilities our graduate leadership council, graduate school council, AU club council, and then fraternity and sorority life. Mary, or Luz Patterson, is also a financial assistant in the office. Her cohort of responsibilities are the media board, student government. No programmatic AUCC this year. Pretty much AUCC will all be under me this year, but she also processes our student support payments. So if you are at a paid position, she would be the individual to reach out to during that process so that you can get more information about what documents need to be completed or if you have questions or concerns about the process. So how does CSI Finance support my organization? We do so in 3 ways: by managing your organization's general ledger, reviewing and approving purchase requests, and then processing payments. Pretty transactional, pretty clean, pretty simple. How can student activities fees be used? We break it down into 2 lists, acceptable and then unacceptable. So acceptable uses would be cultural, social, and educational enrichment programs, recreational and social activities, student media and publications, student organization travel, and then other student services, that big gray old bucket that we always like to dabble in. One thing that you notice is that it states that no student travel will be permitted. That is correct. We will not be permitting any travel this academic year. At the bottom, there's a red asterisk and a little comment next to it that says that this list is affected by COVID-19. It is very much so affected by COVID-19. You want to ask questions before you plan an event, before you plan a purchase. Talk to your advisor and your funding boards just to make sure that what you're trying to do is feasible. Unacceptable uses. So unacceptable uses will be alcohol and tobacco purchases, of course, personal gain, donations, individual membership and fees, fundraising, gift cards and monetary prizes, and then international travel. So I want to kind of walk you guys through this list because it has a couple nuances to it. So personal gain, what is personal gain? Personal gain is basically if you're a club president wants to buy a birthday cake, if it's your club president's birthday and you want to buy a cake for that person, you will need to use revenue for that. You wouldn't be able to request the allocation to make that purchase. Donations. We are able to donate or make donations, but 100% of the funds that are used to donate must be derived from fundraising or from things that have been donated to you. It must be true revenue. You can't request an allocation to donate money to a charity. Individual membership and fees. We cannot do individual membership and fees as far as allocations go. You can't request to spend that. But if you have revenue in your account, if another department is co-sponsoring or something like that, you can pay individual membership and fees. As of right now, student activities fees can be used to pay for membership for the entire chapter, entire club, entire organization, but not for one person. And then fundraising. Fundraising is also one of those things that you can't do using student activities fee unless 100% of the proceeds are being donated to charity. So if you're trying to fundraise for your club or organization, you wouldn't be able to do that using an allocation. And last but not least, gift cards and monetary prizes. Unfortunately, we were unable to purchase gifts or gift cards. So, well, let me rephrase myself. You can do gifts. So say you have a trivia event and you want to buy gifts for the winners of the trivia event. Talk to your advisor, talk to your funding board about what makes sense as far as gifts for trivia nights and things like that. But we can't do Uber gift cards. We can't do Starbucks gift cards and things like that. So make sure you ask questions, more questions than not when planning those types of events. So let's jump into Engage. So Engage, or Campus Labs Engage, is our system, our content system. It's our content management system, I'm sorry. It's where you can do everything from top to bottom with your organization. You can manage your roster, you can manage your finances, you can run elections through this website. You can do all sorts of things. So we'll look at a couple of those features as we walk through the system. To access the system, you use the web link above, it's american.campuslabs.com/engage/. You will log into the system using your My.American credential, so there's no additional login that you need to create with this. It is standard if you are a registered student of American University. Once you log into the system, you come to a wonderful landing page, which we call the Explore page. The Explore page gives you a general outlook of all the organizations that you are a part of. So any organization that you are an e-board member or just a general body member would populate in the membership area. In addition, there is a search field where you can search for other organizations on campus. So if you're looking for Happy Club, you type it in, Happy Club pops up, and you'd be able to visit their landing page. To the right of the screen, there's a purple arrow denoting the user drawer. The user drawer is a wonderful feature. The user drawer is pretty much where you can access all the tools that are specific to you as an organization. It is usually highlighted by, I'll go back to the last slide, by showing you it's like a gray circle and it has your first initial inside of it. And to the left of it will be 9 boxes, which is the action center. When you click into the user drawer, it gives you a couple different things. When you attend physical events and you need to have your event pass out so that you can register for the event or just, show your ticket, that you'd be able to find the event pass in this drawer. It also shows you an event history. So any events that you've attended on campus, whether it be virtual, physical, whatever that looks like, as long as the event wasn't engaged, it'll show up here. It'll show any membership, so any organizations that you are a part of, service hours, any submissions, so like any forms or requests that you submitted through the system, all those things will be in that one little comprehensive area. So the user drawer is pretty cool. If you exit the user drawer and go back to Explore, the Explore page, and click on one of the organizations that you are a part of, you'll come to that organization's management page. If you are on the e-board for that organization, you'll see this version of the page. If you are just a member of the organization, you won't see the Manage Organization tab. But on this page, you see all the information that you need about the club or organization. Most student organizations don't have a physical address on campus, but they may have an email address that would be in the contact information section. Below that is like all the current events. So any events that you have coming up for your organization, if it's an Engage, if you registered through that events page or events form page, you'll be able to see those events listed there. So for the purpose of this training, we're gonna go back up to the pencil and we're gonna click on Manage Organization. Once you click on Manage Organization, you come to the landing page for e-board members. This page pretty much shows you how many members are registered within this organization. It also gives you any events that are coming up. It also, most importantly, tells you the primary contact person for that organization. One thing to note about the primary contact for organizations is that this person will receive all the correspondence for your club organization. If there's an issue with your allocation, potentially an issue with your purchase request, or if we just have general questions about something that's been submitted, or we want to invite you to something, we want to, make you a part of something, this is the person that we will reach out to. Quite frequently, student organizations utilize a faculty member or a staff member and put them in that field, and they get that correspondence. So the student organization is not getting the things that they need to receive from our office. You want to make sure that this is a registered student, that this person is part of your organization that has not graduated. So you want to make sure that you kind of sort through and update your primary contact as frequently as possible. To the left top of the screen, you'll see the purple arrow pointing to the 3 lines. That little menu, if we click on it, it's we call it the organization menu. The system calls it a hamburger menu. If you click on the hamburger menu, it kind of takes you to a little bit of a drop down. The organization menu pretty much gives you access to all the organization's tools. So you can access the roster, the about section, an event section, the news and gallery sections, which function sort of like Facebook and Instagram. So you can like do live reporting of what your club or organization is up to. You can store any documents, so your club's constitution, any financial things that you want to save. So maybe you had an ironclad budget for your last event and you want to make it an annual thing. You can save that budget in the document section. You can even go so far as to maybe save t-shirt sizes or sign-up forms for past events. So keep that in mind. It's a very good place to store things. In the form section, you can do so much. You can collect a lot of information. Maybe you need to collect t-shirt sizes for everybody in your club, or you just have an interest form that you want to fill out. You want to get some feedback from your last event. You can create a form in the form section and you can distribute the link to it so that people can access that and you can get the feedback that you require. You can also run elections through this website, but for the purpose of this training, we will focus on finances. So if you click on finances, this is the landing page that it will take you to. Engage has updated the system. This is a new user view. So those of you that were with us last year probably have not seen this. This wouldn't be familiar to you. When you look to the left of the screen, you see all the different types of finance requests that you can view in the system. There are 3 types: the budget request, purchase request, and then you see X'd out here is the funding request. One thing to note is that we do not use the funding request tool at AU. We only use budget and purchase. If you complete a funding request, we will review it, enter some information as to how to access allocations, depending on who you are, a graduate or undergraduate student, and we will go ahead and deny that request. Keep that in mind. To the middle of the screen, you get a listing of all of the open requests that are in that category. So you see all your different purchase requests, all your different budget requests, depending on which tab you clicked on. To the far right of the screen, highlighted in blue, you see create requests. If you click on that drop down, you get to see how to create a budget request and then also how to create a purchase request. You see again in the 3rd line there where it says create funding request, you see I kind of crossed that out because I want to remind you guys that we do not use, again, the funding request tool. So next to the create request is accounts. If you click on accounts, click on the accounts tab, it takes you to a great view of what all of your individual accounts look like. Now, these are kind of figurative accounts, just system created ones, but for AU, if you are a undergraduate student and you are recognized under AUCC, you will see your allocation account and your revenue account. If you are a graduate student and you are looking for your accounts, you will probably only see one account for now, which would be your allocation account. We're moving to create revenue accounts for each club or organization, but for now, you may only see allocation for graduate students. If you click on the actual accounts tab, it takes you into a comprehensive view of what's going on with that individual account. You'll see all the individual details. It'll tell you the name or description of the account. It'll tell you the external account ID. The external account ID is actually your account number. So if you're ever looking for your 5-digit account number, this is the place to locate it. To the middle of the screen, you'll see the club's account balance, any encumbered funds, and then available funding. I want to explain to you guys what those 3 types of balances are. Balance is just anything that's kind of in limbo. Any requests that are in play that have not necessarily been completed. Maybe we haven't entered a transaction for it because it's next, we've approved the purchase but haven't actually bought the item. Encumbered funds is anything that you've requested to spend. So the moment that you submit a purchase request, the amount of that purchase request will populate an encumbered fund. So if you request to spend $50 on chips for your event, it'll show an encumbered fund until we approve it, deny it, or cancel it. Available funds. Available funds is what you actually have available to spend. So this is what you can spend against or what you can request to spend. So at the bottom, you'll see the different types of requests you submit, whether it's funding, budget, or purchase. And then next to that, you can click on transactions, and that'll show you all the transactions that have resulted because of the request that you've submitted. Okay. So now that we know how to look through the system and find the things, let's talk about how to request some money. So the budget request process, let's talk about how to submit a budget request. The budget request tool allows student organizations to request funds from their respective governance board. So AU Club Council, the Graduate Leadership Council, and the Graduate School Councils all use the budget request tool. There's some things to think about prior to submission of a budget request. You want to make sure you research your funding board's funding principles. So whether that's accessing their website or reaching out to that funding board via email, you want to make sure you know that information. Be aware of CSI and your funding board's timeline. So what is the timeline or turnaround time for requesting, reviewing, and receiving an allocation? And then also, what's the turnaround time for submitting a purchase request and actually spending those funds? So you want to make sure you know all those things when planning an event. Talk to your advisor. It is very, very important that you talk to your advisor. Your advisor needs to be in the loop in the conversation about things that are related to spending. You want to make sure that you use them as an asset. They can help you plan the most wonderful event. They may help you access some resources that you would have otherwise not known about. So just keep them in the loop in the conversation. At the bottom in the little fine print, there's a little statement which you need to be aware of. All allocations must be utilized for the purpose in which they are given. Any unspent funds are subject to recall. This is for graduate and undergraduate students. When you request an allocation, you have to use the allocation on the item that you requested to spend it on. Those are things that we double check through the purchase request and budget request. And then also, again, if you don't spend the entire allocation, those funds will be recalled back to your allocation board or funding board. So make sure that you ask questions about how long you have to spend the funds and all those things before going to make a purchase. So now that we've talked about what the budget request looks like, and also to the right of the screen, that's kind of like the view of what the budget request screen looks like once you select create a budget request. One thing to keep in mind as we're going through these tutorials is that this year, some of these slides are from last year, so the budget request looks a little different. It's titled different, but for the most part, it's the same information that we're requesting, just geared towards virtual events. So I'm going to switch screens. Give me a second. I'm going to share a video with you all. This video was recorded last year, so some of the questions are a little bit different. But for the most part, the process is the same.
Hey everyone, I'm Chris from American. And then you can click on those.
Stop talking. All right, let's see. Bear with me, y'all. I can't see. I got too many screens. Okie dokie.
Hey everyone, I'm Chris from American University's Center for Student Involvement, and I'm here to give you another quick tutorial for Engage. Now, Engage is our new online content management platform, and it's designed to help members of the AU community connect with student organizations and events that are happening on campus. And for student leaders, Engage offers many different tools to help you manage your organization. So this tutorial is focused specifically on how you, as a student leader for a graduate or undergraduate club, can make a budget request using Engage. So to start, let's go to american.campuslabs.com/engage. And then we're going to go sign in and click this blue sign in button at the top right corner. Once you click that, you'll be taken to this page, which will ask you for the same AU credentials that you use to access your AU portal. So put those in and then click the login button. And then you'll be at your personal homepage in Engage. And you'll see a bunch of different, whatever organization that you're a member of, if you're the president of a club, will show up here. And then you can click on those individual ones to really start managing your organization. I have a bunch of different ones as an advisor here, but I'm just going to click on the Center for Student Involvement page, and we're going to do this tutorial through this page. So once we get here, we're going to go up to the Manage Organization button here at the top right, and then we'll be on our Action Center page, and we want to go to the Organization menu up at the top left with these three horizontal bars, and we'll click that, and then we will have a bunch of different tools that come up. We can choose from a bunch of different ones here, but we're just going to focus for this tutorial with budget request on the finance page. So click finance. And then you'll see it starts on the purchase request. So these are purchases that your organization has already made. We have a different tutorial that explains the purchase request process. You can find that on the Center for Student Involvement website and under the budget or under the Engage tab. But we're going to focus on budget requests. So we're going to go over and click this button here, which will show these would be, if you've already made a budget request, this is where your previous budget requests would populate in here. It has the status of the request, the request name, the process, the amount for that request. So this page right now basically this is basically a page that just shows a bunch of like tutorial or tests that we've done as we've done some trainings. But let's back up a second and let's say that your club decides that you want to host an event of some sort. And after you've crafted a budget, hopefully with the help of your advisor, you're going to need to request funding from your governing cohort. So that would be AU Club Council for undergraduate clubs, and it would be the Graduate Leadership Council or the Graduate Student Council for graduate students. So the first thing you want to do is check out your budget request tab, see what you've already got up here, but let's say after you've crafted that budget and everything like that, you want to create a new request for a new budget request. So we want to click this Create New Request button, and then we have three options here. We're going to click the Create Budget Request. From here, you can see there's two options. You can choose the AUCC allocation option, which is for undergraduate clubs, and then there's the graduate option, which, as I said before, is for graduate students. So let's just say we're an undergraduate club, and we're going to use this option. So we click the allocation tab here, and then this is where we're going to start populating the title for your event. So let's say we're doing, let's say we're the Happy Club, and we're having a panel discussion. So Happy Club, panel discussion, and then let's say here in the description, I'm just going to put an ellipses here as a filler, but it's good to be as detailed as possible when you're writing the description. So feel free to put extra details about this in there. That is always helpful for folks in the Center for Student Involvement office to really know exactly what you're doing, and for AUCC or for the Graduate Leadership Council or whomever to be able to understand exactly what you're doing. So after we do that, we're going to click Next. And as you can see here, there's some kind of instructions about how much time is needed for your request, 10 business days in advance for simple requests, but that gets a lot longer if you're planning a really complex event, and so you would need to submit these 6 weeks prior to the event date. So these are just some things to keep in mind as you're submitting your budget request. It's always better, the earlier you can get this stuff in, the more smoothly things are going to go. So then we're going to put our name and position title. Let's say president, email address. Let's put student involvement at American.edu. And then contact number to. Okay, and then don't worry, you don't have to enter your 5-digit budget number. If you know it, you can add it in there, but no big deal. It's not one of the ones that's required, though everything that's required is marked by the red asterisk here. So we can go and move on to the next. All right. So here is a bunch of information that is going to be asked specific to your event. So you want to fill out each of these categories here. So please indicate what kind of event this is. So in this case, ours is more of a speaker performance, so it's a panel discussion, so we can click that one. 25 live reference number or proposed event space. You should have gotten, have already submitted, if it's an event that's going to be taking place on campus, you should have already submitted a 25 live request for reserving a room on campus. So make sure that you've done this, and once you've gotten that event confirmed, that's when you can enter your reservation number, your confirmation number that you will get from 25 Live for this specific event. Sometimes there's events that or spaces on campus that don't run through 25 Live, and in that case, you can just kind of put the proposed event space in there. But you should, in most cases, have a 25 Live reference number or confirmation number for that. But for our purposes here, just as a tutorial, we'll just put NA. Date of the event, let's say we're doing this October 4th. And expected attendance, let's say we're hoping to get 50 people in attendance at the event. So it's then going to ask you if this is a complex event. So complex events, again, require a lot more planning. It has a number of different questions here for this. Let's say for our event here, it's a smaller scale. This is not going to be a complex event. We'll just click no. Is this a philanthropic event of some sort? In our cases here, no, but if it is for you, then you would click yes, obviously. And in this case, it's also going to ask here, is this a co-funded event? So is this an event that you're doing in collaboration with another student organization or a department on campus? If the answer to this is yes, you're going to want to put exactly what each co-sponsor is, the name of each co-sponsor, and how much they are committing to this event. So we are not doing, for our purposes here, we're not going to make this a co-funded event, but if it did, you would have a bunch of information here that would specify how much each is contributing to this event. All right. So after that, we'll go and hit next. Wait for the next page to load. All right. Now we got to the next one, additional information, marketing plan for this. So check all of these that are going to apply. So peer-to-peer marketing, email list, let's say Facebook. Let's say we're going to put this on Facebook. Maybe we're not planning to do all that much else. No tabling. Maybe we'll put it on our other social media accounts, Instagram and Twitter. You are always going to want to check Engage. It's mandatory that all of your events are going to be posted in Engage. And that's great because they're going to be populated in the master calendar for the university. So anytime anybody is searching events on campus, they're going to come across your event. So you always want to make sure you have that. It's good for you. And it's also required as part of the event process. So click that too. Here you can explain a little bit more about your marketing or promotion plan. It's good to be as detailed as possible. For right now, I'm just going to make this move along a little quicker, so I'll just put ellipses in it. And again, it's also not one of the required things, but again, more detail, the better. Then the last one here is another required one. Identify how this club experience connects to your club's mission and how this experience will benefit club members. So you can add, if there's a bunch of speakers in here that are specific to your organization's mission and stuff like that, just describe how this would fit in. And again, for the purposes of just being as succinct as possible, I'm just going to hit the ellipses and then we're going to move on to the next one. All right, some more questions. Terms and conditions. I understand that by submitting this request that I have reviewed this budget request and confirmed the availability of all necessary supplemental documentation. Click yes. I'm confirming that I have reviewed this budget request submission to confirm the accuracy of all financial information provided. Yes. And I have read and understood deadlines, policies, procedures, and processes. This is important because you want to make sure that you are very much aware that you've read the previous information about, is this a complex event? How much time in advance you have to do this? What are all the requirements? Make sure you have paid close attention to that and that you know what the requirements are and that you need to be complying with all that that's required here. So let's say yes for that and let's move on to next. All right. In this category here, in this page here, this is where you're starting to kind of like formulate your budget for this event. So we have our budget section, a bunch of different budget sections here, contractual stuff, food stuff, supplies. So let's say we have, for this, we're gonna have a contract with these, a bunch of different contracts with these different speakers. So let's say we click the add item here, and we're going to say this is for, you can pick a space rent. Is it a space rental that's going to cost money? Is it for talent, production services, a to-fix request of some sort, security? Let's say this one's going to be for talent. It's one of our speakers. We'll just say XYZ speaker. We can describe the speaker there. We're gonna just do the ellipses again. Cost, let's say this person, we're gonna be paying $200. And then you need to make sure you upload a document here, like the contract, the professional services agreement, whatever it is, the contract that you have with the speaker that's required to be filled out. You need to make sure you upload that file. So we can go upload this file here. We can go into our desktop and tutorials here, and we're going to upload this contract for our purposes right here. So we can save that, and we've got that up here, and you can see that that contractual expense is going to populate in your working budget up here. Let's say we wanted to add food, so we have a shopping list of some sort. We're going to need food from a caterer of some sort. Let's say you have a caterer that you picked up, or it's a giant expense or something like that. You want to click those. I'm not going to do it just to save some time here, but you can add the name, the description, how much it's going to cost. Let's say we got $500 worth of food or something like that. Then we're going to upload another contract, or it could be just the shopping list, shopping cart for your the specific food that you want, or an invoice, or the not an invoice, but an estimate from a caterer for this specific thing. Then you can upload that, and you'll hit save. I'm just going to cancel out of that. But if you were to put all that information in for the food section and add that item, that is going to populate here in the food section, and you have $500 that will come up here if it was a $500 expense, and your total at this point would be $700. But I'm just going to keep that, keep us from going further on this, but you can see all these other different categories that you could populate. If you were doing a budget request for something travel related, if it was a conference that you were taking some students to go to, that's where you would enter those different things. So lodging, hotel, train, bus, whatever it might be. If there's stuff for off-campus events, there's all these different things that you can choose from. So I'm gonna kind of wrap things up with that section here, but you can see it's really easy to put together. After you finish that, review it, and hit submit, you're gonna see that your budget request will populate up in this section here. So our Happy Club panel discussion has popped up in our budget request, and you can see the $200 total is here. It says we just submitted it, the date and time that we submitted it. So after you've submitted that request, you can see it there, but it's going to be routed to the club council if you're an undergraduate organization, or it's going to go to one of the graduate councils for graduate clubs. So they're going to review the request and either approve or deny that request. And you should get an email via Engage letting you know the status of your request after you submit it. But you can also track the status of your request by navigating to your budget request. So here on this page that we're at right now. But that's pretty much how you submit a budget request using Engage. So I hope you found this tutorial helpful. For more information about Engage and the Center for Student Involvement, visit our website at american.edu/OCL/student-involvement. Thank you very much.
All right, I'm going to transition my screen and get back to our presentation. Okay, so that was the budget request process. Now that we know how to request money, let's talk about how to spend the money. How do you submit a purchase request, or how do you fill out a purchase request? So the purchase request form is used to submit a request to make payment or purchase items. This form can also be used to transfer funds. So if you are transferring funds to one club to another club or one department to another, if you were doing a co-sponsored event, you would also use this form to make that purchase or to make that happen. A couple things to think about prior to submitting a purchase request. You want to make sure you're meeting with your advisor when necessary. This academic year, it's probably going to be more necessary than not to talk to your advisor before submitting a purchase request, just to make sure you have the all clear. You want to confirm the availability of funding in your account. If the funds that you are seeking to spend are not populated in your account, then we won't allow you to make a purchase. So we'll deny a purchase request. With that being said, if your funding board has sent you an email and said that you have been approved for XYZ allocation, but you don't see those funds populated in your account, you need to wait until those funds are available in your account to be able to spend them. Make sure you gather all the required documentation, so quotes, invoices, contracts, etc. You want to make sure you have vetted the process and you understand which documents are required for which process, because each thing is different. An online order is very different from a check request, which is very different from a transfer. So feel free to ask more questions. We're available to you guys online via Zoom. You can set an appointment to talk to us via Calendly, and we're glad to walk through the process with you. Also, only one request per vendor. One issue that we've encountered is that individuals tend to submit 4 requests for the same vendor. So if you are shopping and you see that Zoom offers 4 different services, but they can all be purchased at one time, you just need to submit one purchase request detailing all the different services and how much they cost in a shopping cart or in a typed up document, and attach that as your invoice or quote so that we can help you make that purchase. To the right of the screen, you will see a screenshot of what the purchase request looks like. I am going to actually fill out a purchase request and show you what that process looks like. Once we learn how to fill out the form, we'll walk through some timelines, and I will give you an idea of what the process looks like, how long it takes, and all of those wonderful things. All right, so this is the purchase request screen. The purchase request is very easy, very simple to fill out. One thing to note is that the descriptors or the questions that it's asking you in the top section, as far as the request details and payee information section, we can't change those descriptors, so we do the best that we can to train you guys up on how to fill out the form. So in the subject line, you don't put the subject or the name of the event or anything like that. You want to put the name of the vendor. It's very important that you enter that information in that way so that we know what you're buying. For the purpose of this training, we're just going to use Adobe. So we're going to do Adobe Acrobat. Okay. And in the description section, you're going to tell us what you're buying. So I'm going to buy the annual subscription service. So how much does it cost? It's going to cost us about $250. And then what category is it? So there's a bunch of different categories that you can select in the drop down. You want to make sure you pick the one that's more suitable for the purchase that you're making. So for something like what we're looking at, I'm going to put computer equipment. Should be software, but that's as close as that we can get today. You're going to select the account available. Depending on who you are as a club or organization, you will have 1 or 2 accounts listed there. So you want to make sure that you know specifically where the money is available before you click there. Payee information section. The payee information section is more so for checks. So if you are mailing a check to someone or we're paying someone via ACH direct deposit, you make sure you fill out this section in its entirety so we have more information than not to know where the check is going to be mailed. However, if it's not a check that you're using to make payment or that you're requesting to make payment with, you simply enter the name of the vendor in the first name section. So if it's Amazon, if it's Zoom, if it's Staples, whatever the name of that vendor is, put it in that first name section. Okay, let's go down to the additional information section. So the additional information section has a bit of a instructions or like a little blast at the top of it that we added that's new for this academic year. It reads, please be advised that submission of this form indicates that you have confirmed the availability of funding and you have spoken with your CSI staff advisor. Incomplete submissions will be denied. Only 1 vendor per purchase request will be accepted, and purchase requests are reviewed in the order in which they are received, Monday through Friday, except for holidays. Please be aware of all of those things and be mindful of those things when submitting a purchase request. Once you've read our little blast, our little blurb of nothing, you will pretty much select which funding source you're going to use. So it's always going to be allocation or revenue, depending on who you are or depending on where those funds are parked in your account. You want to select the purchase type. So if it's going to be check, if it's going to be online order, phone order, or university transfer. If you are selecting to pay someone with ACH direct deposit, there'll also be a purchase type here for that. We are pushing ACH direct deposit in this virtual environment just to make sure that folks get paid in a timely fashion. There's a couple other questions that we will ask you. So we want to know if this is a co-sponsored event. If it's a co-sponsored event, it's very important that you list the name of the clubs or organizations or departments that will be co-sponsoring the event in this field. What's the date of the event? If it's a virtual event, enter the virtual platform link. It's very important that you share that information with us so that we can help you promote your event, help you make your event successful. We can help you in regards to posting things on Facebook and share that information out to the community so that you can have wonderful attendance at your event. In addition to that, you want to enter the vendor's web address so that we have that information, and then any phone numbers or email addresses associated with the vendor, we'd like to have that information too. Last but not least, we want you to upload an estimate, quote, invoice, contract, or shopping cart, whichever of those items that you have. So if you have a professional service agreement, if you have a contract from the actual talent that you're hiring or whatever that looks like, you attach those things in this field. In addition to, if you haven't already talked to your advisor, or if there's no process for it that's happened before, like maybe you haven't spoken with AUCC, or maybe you haven't spoken to the Graduate Leadership Council about what the new vendor process looks like, you also attach a copy of their W-9 to the contract to hire those individuals. A lot of words. If you have questions about what documents you need to submit for which process, whether it be online order, whether it be, again, check or transfers, things like that, talk to your advising team, reach out to your funding boards, or talk to CSI Finance. We're happy to answer those questions for you. Beneath that field are things that we have left for the office team. So final receipt upload, we keep a copy of the final receipt or the final fully executed contract for every single purchase. Two things below there, formally those were related to the travel itinerary and then the list of individuals that were going to be going, as well as the consent form. Because travel is prohibited this year, we just put a little note there that travel is going to be prohibited, so there's nothing to upload there. Once you've entered all these fields, you simply click submit request, and you are all done. Very clean, very simple. Again, if you have questions or concerns about how to complete it, talk to your advisors or call CSI Finance and we can walk you through the process. Let's jump back into our presentation.
Ebony, we do have a quick question. It's what is ACH?
ACH. So ACH is automatic clearinghouse or direct deposit. That is the best way to get paid. So if you have a job and you sign up for direct deposit, it's pretty much the same as ACH. I will talk through the process of signing up for ACH during the course of this training. Thank you, Jordan. All right, I gotta switch back on my chat. So let's talk about purchasing timelines. So we've pretty much set you guys up on a 4-week timeline. We tried to make it very easy, very comprehensive, because most events or the purchasing process for most of our events will be the same this academic year. We figured that everything should be able to be on the same timeline. So let's talk it through. So there's 2 types of purchases that we're looking at for this academic year. We're looking at simple and we're looking at complex. So I'm pretty sure you guys will have questions. Feel free to drop them in the chat. I'm ready for you. So week one is consultation with your e-board or your advisor about the purchase. Talking to your funding board, getting all your T's crossed and your I's dotted, making sure you have everything you need as far as how the event is planned and then execution of the event. You want to make sure you have all the required documentation. You want to make sure that you've procured W-9, vendor application forms, price quotes, estimates, all those things. If you don't know what those things are, reach out to your advising staff or your funding board so we can help orient you in the right way. Again, we have 2 different types of events, the simple event and then the complex event. So in week 2, you should be at the point of submission and review of your request. If it's a simple event, the purchase request will be submitted. Everything will be reviewed, so you'll get a denial or approval in that second week. In that purchase request, you would submit a copy of the invoice or shopping cart, and we'd be able to confirm a Zoom meeting or appointment time for you to make that purchase. Very clean, very simple. If it is the 2A process, which is complex, in that second week, you'd be submitting a PSA, which is a professional service agreement. Professional service agreements are AU's version of a contract. It is vetted, it includes indemnification and all those things. It's easier to get a PSA approved through AU than it is to get a private vendor contract pushed through. You want to make sure, in addition to PSA, or if you don't have a PSA, you want to make sure you have your contract prepared and submitted via a purchase request. So if you have those documents, you'll attach it to the purchase request with the W-9 and any other documentation that you have. If you don't see a place you don't feel comfortable attaching it to the purchase request, you can email it directly to your advisor so that we can make sure that we have everything we need to move forward with this request. The 2A or complex event process takes about 5 days for us to review it, get through the, make sure you have all the supplemental documentation and turn it around. It takes about 5 business days. After 5 business days, if you haven't received anything, feel free to follow up with us to figure out what's going on, so that we can help you get this event put on. And then week 3 and 4 is pretty much the same for both types of purchases. After week 2 with the simple purchase, you pretty much are either you've had your appointment to make the purchase or it's coming up, depending on what your schedule looks like. If it is a complex purchase, it'll be making the purchases and processing things for the event. So it should be very easy. We should be shoring up everything, making sure that we have contact information for the talent. You really should be out of the payment process by week 3 or 4. And then one thing that we want to do this year that's very new is we want to make sure that we follow up on events. We haven't been able to kind of track or know which events happen and which events don't happen. So it is our expectations that 3 days post-event, students reach out to the office to make sure that we have all the receipts necessary for their purchase. So if you have something or a receipt was sent to you via email, you want to make sure that you send all of those things to our student involvement email, and I'll give that to you at the end of this at the end of this presentation, so that we can make sure we can close out the purchases and we can have more exact numbers on what your budgets look like or what your account balances look like. That is the purchasing timeline for pretty much all of the events. There's a question. So if an event does not require funding, should it be approved to be held by the end of those 5 business days? If it doesn't require funding and you're just submitting an event request, that's a different process, but that should be easier to get approved. Because if it doesn't require funding, you wouldn't be going through the purchasing process, so this timeline wouldn't apply to you. But another caveat to that is if maybe it doesn't require funding because you have the money already in your account. Maybe an outside department has co-sponsored the event, or maybe you received a donation for the event and you have the money in your account to cover it. You would kind of exit week 1 and you would just be at like week 2 and week 3 would basically be the process that you would be going through. You would submit the purchase request, you would go through the approval process, and then you would just be waiting for us to approve it and give you an appointment via Zoom to make that purchase. I hope that answers your question.
And I can also jump in on that one as well. So if it's just like an event where you're not doing any purchases, you don't have a speaker that's not paid or anything like that, it's just like a simple meeting or you're just joining together in community, all you have to do is submit an event submission on Engage, and then that'll probably take us maybe 3 days at the most to get it approved. So
sounds good to me. So now that we have got through, you're welcome. Now that we've gotten through the purchasing timelines, let's talk through additional information. So there are a couple things you need to know about CSI and our partners, because we want to make sure that you have all the necessary documentation that you need. The university has various documents and forms. We have put them all in one place. So any forms related to payments, anything related to hiring people or even fundraising, we put all those documents in one comprehensive place. So how do you access all of our forms? I put a little bit of a follow me. So you log into Engage, and then you search for student involvement. Once you search for it, of course you click. Then once you have accessed our organization page, you scroll down to the documents section, and any public documents will be listed there. We have all types of general finance forms. So we have the professional service agreements or PSA. We have credit card authorization forms. We have tax exemption forms, we have GoFundMe, application forms. So if you want to raise money for your club or organization, you can do that through our department and we'll help you manage that GoFundMe. And then we also have the new vendor packet. So the new vendor packet is very important. So I'm going to focus on this for a minute and kind of give you as many details as possible, give you guys as much as you need to know. So the new vendor packet is inclusive of a blank W-9. The W-9 is how we identify individuals' tax status. It gives us their full business name, full business physical location, and then their EIN or tax ID number. In addition to the W-9, we have a new vendor application. The new vendor application gets them a AUID number. So it's very similar to your student ID number. It gives them the ability to be paid by the university. And then last but not least, the direct deposit or ACH sign-up form. So we had this question earlier, what is ACH? ACH is automatic clearinghouse. It is a version of it is another way to say direct deposit. We are pushing direct deposit and ACH sign-up because we are in this virtual environment. We can't really control when checks are cut, when they're mailed. In the past, we were able to go down to accounts payable, pick up checks, mail it for you guys, let you know that it was dropped in the mail and just charge it to your account, but we can't do that because we're not physically on campus. So it is very important that you offer ACH or direct deposit to your talent, especially if you're hiring speakers, if you're hiring a Zumba instructor, a yoga instructor, whatever that looks like, because pretty much everybody has to be contracted to perform any work for us. The process is very simple. They will complete the ACH sign-up form in its entirety. In that form, they would give us their bank account information, which pretty much will be accounting and routing numbers. They would give us a copy of a voided check. If they're not comfortable with giving us a copy of a voided check, they can just give us a screenshot of something from their bank account that just verifies the routing number for their account, and then we will be good to go. Most talent is not comfortable giving that information to students. That is perfectly fine. They can work with the finance team to get that set up. So if you want to just send them the form and then recommend that they work with us if they have questions or concerns, that is perfectly fine. But again, we are pushing ACH, we are pushing direct deposit. So if you have more or less questions about it, feel free to reach out to the team. But that is how you access our forms and how you get all the information you need to plan your events. There are other forms in that form section that are not just related to finance. There's like event related stuff specific to like fraternity and sorority life, mission statements, all types of things in there. So feel free to go take a look and see what we have to offer. Before I jump into questions and concerns, I want to highlight a couple things that we have not talked about in this presentation, most notably deposits. We haven't spoken about deposits at all. Again, given that we are in a virtual environment, we cannot physically collect checks. We cannot physically collect cash from you guys. I've gotten a lot of emails from student organizations regarding Venmos that they may have and they want to be able to cash out the Venmo but don't know what to do, or maybe a PayPal account or something like that that they have and they don't know what to do with that cash or with that transfer. I have recently worked with the university to put together a process for using the wire transfer or direct deposit / ACH process to deposit into student organization accounts. So if you have funds sitting to the side that you need to deposit into your account, reach out to me after this presentation. I'm happy to walk you through the process and provide you with the information necessary to make that deposit happen. Second, we have not talked about co-sponsorships. Co-sponsorships always get really icky because there's a lot of money movement, a lot of different transactions and processing, a lot of different questions. The safest way to explain it is that if you are transferring funds from club to club, you would just enter a purchase request and engage and put co-sponsorship and put the name of the club or organization in the description. You would explain what event it's related to, describe what they're supposed to be purchasing with that money, and then as a quote or invoice estimate in that field, you would attach any email correspondence that you have where you've agreed to co-sponsor that event. That is very easy. If you are doing a co-sponsorship and it is club to department or department to club, whatever that looks like, but the department wants to transfer money into your account, it is important that you put us into that conversation, put us in the loop, because what tends to happen is maybe CDI wants to give you $150 for your event, but there's been no communication between me and CDI and they've made the deposit, but I'm unaware of it. so it wouldn't show up in your account. It kind of just be in our system. It being Colleague, which is the system that you guys use to register for classes, but wouldn't be an Engage. Engage is very specific to the Center for Student Involvement. It's not a university-wide system. So you want to make sure that you report any changes, or if you are expecting money, talk to me, talk to my team so that we can make sure we help you get that money and make it available in your account. If you are working with a department and you just, and maybe they're hosting an event and you agreed to co-sponsor $500 worth of, I don't know, worth of breakout sessions. You have like a couple panelists that you guys want to pay for. The department must pretty much foot the money for that bill. They must plan out, they must make payment, they must process everything on their side, and then we will reimburse them for those purchases. They would have to either provide us with receipts for those purchases or provide us with a copy of their finance report from their department showing where those charges have hit their account already. A lot of words, a lot of things. If you have questions about co-sponsorships, feel free to reach out to us. We are happy to offer you that information so that you know exactly what you need to know as a club or organization to move forward and to host a wonderful event, and then also to make the most of co-sponsorships. We'll be virtual all year long. We are here for you. Again, you can book appointments with us via Calendly. We will host Zoom meetings with you to walk through whatever processes you need. We are here for you. We are here from you. Just because we are behind these computer screens, that doesn't mean that we are turned off. We are still an active team. We're still available. We are Monday through Friday, typically 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., but questionable, depends on what the day looks like. You know, sometimes we have a lot of things to do in the morning, sometimes we don't, but feel free to reach out to us. If you have an appointment, we'll be happy to see you. How to contact us. We have a student involvement email. That's the main email inbox for student involvement. We like to drive students to that inbox because it is easier to kind of filter through questions. So maybe you thought that your question was related to finance and it isn't. We do the best that we can to filter through that box and send things to the appropriate areas so you can get the answers that you need. As far as our website, it is listed there. That is the main website for the Center for Student Involvement. So anything involvement related will be listed there. And then under that, we have the link to our frequently asked questions section. Anything that you need to know for the most part will be listed there. If it is not listed there, feel free to reach out to us and we can provide you with the answers that you seek. With that being said, that is my presentation. I'm happy to answer any additional questions. If you have concerns, things that we didn't discuss, things that you want more information for, you can drop your questions in the chat. You can unmute yourself and ask the questions live. Depending on how you guys feel, I'll give you guys a minute or so to kind of decide if you want to ask your questions. If not, we will, wait a minute, let's see. Where can we access recorded for this training? So this training will be posted in the form of a webinar, and it will be made available starting next week because we're still training other students this week. If you are unable to attend the webinar and you want a copy of the training, just shoot me an email. We can get you what you need. Give you guys another minute or so if anyone else has questions. Okay, all right. I guess you guys are well informed and you have what you need to succeed. So let's see, can we request AV equipment? Jordan, can I request AV equipment?
I don't know that answer. I haven't had that come up in any conversations yet, so I will let you know.
Andrew,
go ahead.
I can request funding for AV equipment.
Is it something that's physical that you would have to have shipped to you?
Rule of thumb for this year. If it is a physical item that must be shipped out, it's going to be a no. We are more so looking at helping clubs make purchases like websites, any software that you need to host a virtual event. If you have like a Google suite that you need, like things that you may not have had in the past, those are the things that we're looking at, more of the virtual things. We're not looking into making physical purchases. So I want to say no for that, Andrew. If you would like to, you can send an email with more details, but for the most part, that's a no. When making a budget request, would we have to include the invoice for the speaker, or would that be done with the purchase request form? When entering a budget request, you want to have an estimate or a quote. So if there's an email chain that you have with your vendor that says like, we'll perform at these dates for this amount, you can use that as a quote. If you have like an actual quote that's typed out by the vendor that says that they'll perform for 45 minutes at $12.75 an hour or whatever, you can use that quote. Okay, next question was just to confirm, we need to meet with our advisors before making budget requests or purchase requests. Yes, before entering a budget request, always meet with your advisor. Just always meet with your advisor just to save yourself the trouble. We would hate for you to fill out a budget request and then there's things that are missing or things that we could have gave you a quick yes or no on before you went through the process of filling out this form. With purchase requests, once you have received an allocation from your funding board for something, you are clear to, as long as the money is available in the system, you're clear to submit the purchase request. For the most part, if you have questions or if you don't know something, meet with your advisor and ask questions. And I said in the training, meet with your advisor when necessary, because it's kind of one of those things where depending on the purchase, depending on what it is, if you've already received an allocation, you've already received the go ahead to make that purchase. So you may or may not need to meet with them. But if it's a check, so like if you're procuring talent, talk to your advisor to make sure that you have everything that you need in the purchasing packet in order to make that payment.
I need some water for my bottle.